Hello. Yes, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this session. I am super excited to be sharing this with you today. This session is about solution-focused self-coaching. And we will delve into that, what it is and how it works, or at least how I use it today. I think we have about 50 minutes. We were asked to stop a little bit before 15 past of the next hour, just to give you guys time to hop to the next event. So I'm going to stop at 10 past the next hour, whichever hour that might be for you. But I will stay on a little bit after that. So if you have more questions, feel free to stay on as well, but just for people to know that they can make it to the next session in time. I would like to present to you a little bit how I do self-coaching the solution-focused way. I have a presentation prepared, but I would really love if you could just, any questions, any comments, or also ideas, anything that goes through your mind, if you just share it or just let me know, or if we can have a conversation more than a presentation, actually. So feel free to interrupt me at any point. I think a good way to use is also the chat, or if you feel like doing that, you can also just unmute yourself and say something whenever you want. I also have some time at the end allocated, hopefully, for a discussion, but I would really love to have, like a conversation with anyone who wants to have a conversation with me today about this throughout also the presentation. So don't feel like you need to wait until the end to ask or say anything. Okay, if you guys are fine with that, if not, please write me in the chat or unmute yourselves and stop me. If not, then I'll keep going. First off, I just wanted to let you know who's talking to you today. My name is Evelyn. I'm 43 years old. I live in Düsseldorf, Germany, where today I think it's something like 33 or 34 degrees, and it's very, very stuffy. Usually we don't have such hot weather, so nobody has air conditioning here. So that can be sometimes be a little bit of a challenge. I am a psychologist by training, and I work as a leadership coach, and I usually apply a solution-focused approach, which I really love. And I'm also a self-coaching enthusiast. So that's how I call myself, because I will tell you a little bit more about it later on. I developed this through my own coaching practice, an approach to coach yourself. I really love this idea to bring coaching to every person, and not just people who can afford a coach or who have the opportunity to speak to someone who is trained in this. Yeah, that's me. Anyone who would like, feel absolutely free to introduce yourselves also in the chat to the others. I always like having a little bit of a community, only for those who want, of course, don't feel pressured, please. But I really love that if people connect a little bit. So feel free to introduce yourselves in any way you want. I really love this little scaling question that Jasper was doing in the introduction. I don't know if you were there to see it. He asked a scaling question about how much experience do you think you have with solution focus? And I wanted to ask you guys, what is your experience, if any, with self-coaching? Like, have you ever done it? Are you regularly doing it? So from 1 to 10, 1 being, this is the first time literally I have ever heard about it, to 10, I do this every day. This is my second nature. If you'd like to write in the chat just a number. Yes, 7 and still learning, exactly. Thought very good. Some 2, some 5s. Oh, that's nice. It's very spread out. I like that. Yes. So everyone has come across it somehow up to now. Erica 7. Linda 4. Thank you, guys. That's very interesting also for me. Yes, and the still learning. This is, I think, a very good point. So I would say the same about myself. Thank you, guys. And then we can get right into it. I wanted to start by talking a little bit, why should we even think about this, right? Like, why should you be listening to me today? Why should anyone practice this from my point of view? And of course, I'm interested very much also in what you think about that. So I wanted to tell you, I wanted to start at the pink part of this little shape here. to tell you a little bit the story, like how I started doing this. If you have stories like that, or because there were so many people telling that they have some sort of experience with self-coaching, I would be very interested also in learning how you came up with this idea, or how you went into that. In my case, because I am a coach, so I coach people a lot, I ask all those questions, and I noticed then that it was just kind of seeping, I don't know if that's the right English word, seeping into my day-to-day life. So sometimes I would find myself, when I was stuck or somewhere, I would ask myself questions like, so what are your best hopes for this situation? Or just in like talking to myself in a way, like a self-talk. And it's that kind of gave me this idea that I thought, wait a minute, why do people really always need a counterpart like me? Like, is the coach always necessary for this? Or isn't it possible that a lot of people can at least learn for, let's say, some situations in their lives, maybe not the most challenging ones, right? Like where you really maybe need also the presence of another human being, but maybe for more everyday things or challenges that are not too emotional. Couldn't we teach this also to people who have nothing to do with psychology, with solution focus, with coaching at all in their everyday lives? So that was kind of the idea that I had, and I'm always a big enthusiast for empowering people. So this didn't, I couldn't let this go. So I started thinking about it, and I will show you how we do it now at the moment a little bit later, and explain it to you how I translated the approach, let's say, for other people. But that's essentially how it all started. And then if I go around, like what I really learned about myself doing this is it's very good to subject yourself from time to time to what you are doing to others, right? Like, so I learned like also how do these questions feel when I ask myself, because usually I ask someone else and they have to kind of work with them then. And I learned very much to be on the receiving end of these questions, and that really helped me. First of all, my understanding about myself, but also how these questions feel. Yeah, that's also something that I learned about coaching. That it's actually very important to develop also the relationship that you have with yourself, and that this can be from my point of view, one of the biggest benefits. That you can change the way that you treat yourself a little bit if you try to apply this from time to time. Because I noticed also in the beginning when I started doing this, I did like a 30-day self-coaching challenge. So I tried to do a coaching session with myself for 30 days. I think after 5 days, I gave up because it was too time consuming. I tried to keep it at least like small parts of it for 30 days. I really noticed in the beginning that the way that I talk to myself in my everyday life is sometimes a lot more negative than I would ever speak to a client, right? So when I started trying to coach myself, I realized also that I need to coach myself better in this way. I need to talk to myself in a much nicer way. Todd wrote quite a while ago. I'm sorry, I just only get caught up on this. Lots of recent experience self-coaching with solution folks, not always successfully. Yes, I feel you, Todd. I know what you mean. Yes. And you're also staying up very late, I can imagine. And I hope that you will get some value out of this. Yes, I know also it can be a big challenge. And if I go to the pros and cons from my point of view, like I went all around to the green part of the little shape that I have here on the slide. I think the pro, of course, is that it's available anytime, anywhere. Like no matter where you go, you can always do it because you're always with yourself usually, right? Unless you're sleeping or maybe bungee jumping or something like that. You would probably not have the bandwidth to do it. But other than that, you could do it at the bus stop. You could do it, I don't know, waiting at the dentist's office or whenever you want. This is definitely a great thing. And for me, the almost more important part is this idea of empowering people who normally maybe don't have so much to do with coaching or psychology, that they can just use it themselves without having to have somebody, let's say, deliver it to them. The cons for me at least is a little bit also what Todd said, is sometimes you're not successful and then you're stuck, right? And then and then you realize, okay, now what do I do? Or another con for me would also be something that it's sometimes very difficult to follow up when you're just on your own in your everyday life, right? Because if, let's say, you wanted to coach yourself really on a specific topic and you really want to follow through with this, then you need to make space for that in your everyday activities. And that can be, at least for me, that is a real challenge sometimes. And it's also something that I have gotten feedback on, that this is the difficult part. Because of course, if you, let's say you have an appointment with a coach and you meet and you have a set time, and in that time, you're probably not going to do much else. You're going to do the coaching because there is another person sitting with you and taking the time to do it. And if it's you and you, there's always something competing for our attention. And that can be a really big challenge from my point of view. And another con, the way I see it, is also like I'm sometimes wondering, like, what I don't want to happen is that people maybe, how can I say this, overstretch themselves and think that they have to do something on their own when they actually would be better off getting some help, because we all know, like in coaching, there can be a thin line to therapy sometimes, like this is a really, I think, very important topic in coaching in general. And yeah, that is something also that I'm still trying to figure out. I try to do this when I work with people, to always tell them, when you feel like you're in over your head, then think about if a solution could be also to talk to somebody else, so that they don't feel pressured to do it themselves in this way. Yes, Todd, you had like a thought. Interestingly, this was also the question that the panel discussion just now ended on. Solution focus can be a DIY self-help process. Yes, but there are only 3 minutes left in the session. Yes, I noticed that as well. Yes, that's how I feel also about it. And it's exactly that. I think Chris mentioned that it's, or I think everyone mentions this from time to time, that it's so simple, and you can take the steps and take the tools, and if you try to apply them, it's actually not that hard, right? Of course, you need to learn how to do it, and you need to get better and better and better, and we never stop getting better. But I think the basics are really available to virtually anyone if you tell them how to do it, or if you show them what exists. Yes, and Kim is writing, absolutely important to make time for ourselves, isn't it? Isn't it just? And isn't it so difficult still, that even though we all know that it's important? Yes, could be actually a good coaching topic, no? How can I make more time for myself? Yes. Okay. Anyone else want to share something, or has an idea, or maybe a question about this at this point? Feel free to just unmute yourselves and shoot whenever you want.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't know who's speaking. I cannot see. No. Let's see.
As far as my experience goes, it seems to me that the major challenge is to focus. In other words, to put aside or relax, or I don't know, or neutralize competing attention and
100%.
thinking.
Yes.
And once this is accomplished, I think then it would be very interesting to see which techniques works in terms of focusing on preferred reality. And I'm wondering, what is your experience in terms of focusing and applying the techniques?
So I actually have experimented a little bit with this, because it's, like I said, it's something that I really struggle with, right? Because I know I want to work on something, but then it's, I don't know, my daughter wants something, or the phone rings, or, what it's, everybody knows what that is like. And I have tried, for example, sometimes I leave the house and I go to, for example, we have a very nice public library here in Düsseldorf where you can go to a space where you're completely uninterrupted. And I take only like a piece of like a bunch of papers and a pen with me, so that I leave my phone at home. So I kind of put myself into a corner, so I cannot do anything else, okay, other than maybe drawing some doodles or something, no, on the paper. But I kind of try to eliminate anything that competes. That can work. I find it a little bit. I'm because I was always hoping to find something that is very easy to integrate into your everyday life, right? That you don't have to make such an effort, because this to me seems like quite an effort to do. And so another thing that we are at the moment experimenting with is a concept, maybe you've heard of it, the concept of gamification. So the idea there is that you turn everyday activities, or let's say serious activities, into a game, just because of also the fact that people then are more motivated to continue, right? You make it easy for people to continue with a specific activity. And this is something that I'm at the moment in the process of building, to make it like because I want to offer this as a digital, let's say, experience at some point. And then it's very easy to gamify this, right? Then you can, I found a platform, like a course platform that offers this, that you can reward people at certain times, that they are, keeping just not for the content, or for like in the sense that that there should be a performance evaluation, but more just for the fact that they are continuing, right? That they keep on going with this. Yeah, Kim is writing, gamification is great with ADHD. Exactly. I don't know. I don't think I have ADHD, but it definitely helps me as well. Like I think it's in our day and age, it's just in general very difficult sometimes to keep focus on one thing, no? Because there's just so much competing. Like every second there is I don't know, a phone notification or whatever is happening. And yeah, so I'm by no means an expert on gamification. All I can say is that it's really helpful and it's just fun, right? And that's why you want to keep going. You turn it into a fun experience. And that's what helps people. It makes it easier for people to work on something that may not always be so easy to work on otherwise. Yes, so that would be my answer for now.
Yeah, that sounds very promising. Especially since we live now in a very, how to say, saturated environment, which is saturated with all kind of distractions. And it can be a real, almost panacea.
Yeah. I'm in the very early stages of this, so I can't give you any experience that I have made with this yet, but this is what I'm working on at the moment because of exactly this challenge, let's say. Erica was also writing, I've used SF self-coaching, wait a minute, before events and for goals and planning. Yes, haven't used SF to reflect on situations. I find it difficult to self-coach during more emotional situations. Yes, this I also think, that it gets more difficult to do it on your own, the more emotional it gets, right? And let's not even talk about trauma-related things. Then I think is really the moment not to do it on your own anymore. But that doesn't mean you cannot support yourself with maybe minor aspects of certain topics in your everyday life. Yes, thanks for the recommendations. I don't know these apps or the Super Better. Maybe I've heard of it, but I think I'm confusing it with BetterHelp now. But I would definitely look those up afterwards, because I'm very, very interested in finding more information on this and how to use it. So thanks a lot for that. Okay, if you're okay with that, I will move on, also because an hour is such a short time. I'm so sorry. So, but I'm really hoping to share a little bit of how we are doing this with you. So how do we practice self-coaching? There, I mean, basically myself and the people who attend the workshops that I do, because that's how I've been doing this up to now. So I've kind of developed a way to guide a group, but a group is not the right way because it's actually everyone individually, right? Like, because they are self-coaching. But we are doing workshops where we have people anywhere from, we've done with 5 people up to, I think the most was like 98 or something. And we try to give them instructions and guide them step by step through the process so that everyone can work on their own topic, right? So this is the main idea. It takes about 2 hours usually. I've done it in less, but it gets really, gets a bit tough then for me also. And I wanted to show you a little bit the process. So this is what it looks like. We start at the pink one. First off, we define the goal. It's usually the biggest challenge for most people. And then we move on to, I called it here, create your vision. I think in solution focus, you would probably call it, I mean, it's based on the miracle question. So you are trying to get into the vision that you want to make your reality. And then we go down to the dark blue little bubble. And there we try to look at where we are at the moment and to build a path from there. And then the last one, the bright blue one, is where we kind of try to kickstart ourselves into action, right? Where we're really trying to see how implementation will look like. I also got a little bit more detail for you. So the first one is, I love this part, and it gives people usually a pretty big light bulb moment, because like most people come in and they describe a situation that they don't want, right? Otherwise they wouldn't be there. Not a problem is, I don't know if the problem is the best word, but it's definitely something that they want to change. And they describe what they don't want, and we take them step by step until they have defined the solution that they want, what that would look like. And for this first one, I have given you also, I tried to make this visible to you. I did it only for the first step. I hope you can halfway see what this is. I'm happy to send you also the slides of another workshop if you want to really see the step-by-step thing, but I just wanted to show you how we do this. So we start at the top left, and there are 5, let's say, criteria for a good and motivating goal, right? How this would look like. And then we go step by step through each criterion. I take an example where I explain to people, okay, this is a description of a situation. And then we ask, okay, is this criterion valid here? And if not, how would we have to change it? And then we go through the next one and the next one and the next one. And then at the very end, we go to the bottom right corner and we see what the description of the situation looked like in the beginning and what our definition of our goal or where we want to go looks like now. I hope this is understandable. If not, please shout at me. Kim says yes, but I'm not sure. Was it for the slides? I'm happy to send everyone the slides. I will. Yes, perfect. I can. You can send me an email if you want the slides. I have my email address at the end. Okay, so I can just. You can just send me an email. I'm happy to send to anyone who wants to have them. Okay, I hope this was clear enough. I really struggled a little bit in summarizing this. So from there, we would go to essentially the miracle question. We don't do it in this traditional way. I do always the workshops on a specific topic, right? And what is maybe also important to know is that these are people who have no, let's say, very often no prior experience with coaching or psychology or anything like that. So I have to assume that also they are sometimes some people are not very self-aware, and they find it really, really difficult to get into this process. Others find it very natural and have no, there is no friction there at all. But I have a very large bandwidth in these workshops. So I always pick a way of describing it to them that fits the topic. I do a lot of work with entrepreneurs and founders. And so there I tell them usually, I don't know, if you can get in a time machine and you can get to the moment that you have reached this goal that you just described, no? Or so I try to adapt it a little bit to make it more tangible for them. For some people it works better, for some not. I unfortunately I don't have enough data to say who it works for best and who it doesn't work for so well. But usually there are some people always who tell me afterwards, my God, the vision, this part was the best thing. Like I had this amazing vision of how I will be when I reach my goal. We also work with, so there we work with a lot of prompts, like we give them questions that they can ask themselves. And then they can, then I encourage them to write down the answer. So to each question, like for example, what would you notice about yourself? Or what would other people notice about you? Or what would you have let go of to get to this point, for example? So I encourage them to write everything down in handwriting, because I personally find this works best, to write it out and to even read it to themselves, and then to see how do they feel while they write it or while they read it. Does it fit? Is there maybe something missing? Because I find when you read aloud, it's kind of it's almost like a test, no? Like you can you have this like emotional response to it, and at least I feel that way when I do that. I can really feel a resistance at the parts that are not fitting yet. So that's why I encourage people to do it. Yes, then the next step, that's like kind of getting from where do we want to go, which would be kind of like the 10 on a scale, right? Then I usually work with a scaling question, because I find that for this diverse group that I usually have, it works really well for them, because it's very easy to do and it's tangible, and everyone has like an immediate understanding of how this can be done. And I encourage them to find out where they are today, and then we give them a lot of prompts. Again, questions like, so how does it feel to be here? How does it feel to have come this far already? When you look back at where you came from, what comes to your mind? Things like that. And then we let them move the needle one up, right? Like, so for example, they were at a 5, so they're going to move to a 6. They were at a 2, they're moving to a 3. Wherever they are, they just move one up. And then it's again like a reflection, that they look from where they are now to where they were before, and they try to feel a little bit into the difference. So what has changed from maybe 3 to 4? What have I learned? Taking the step, what have I let go of? I really love these questions about physical things also, like how does my body feel now? Like, is there anything different? Maybe I feel like, I don't know, my shoulders are lighter, or I don't know, my headache is gone, or things like that. That is always very interesting, I find. Yeah, so this is the part where they kind of create an idea of how they can move forward. And then the last bit is this I call start your journey. It's where you are trying to get into the implementation, because just because you know where you are going to doesn't mean that you're actually going to do it. And I try to get them like as active as possible at the end. So we usually talk about 2 things here, and one is it's a technique that I have learned from actually a German psychologist. He calls it in German, so I'm just translating it, active relapse management. So what he means is, when you are changing a behavior, you will inevitably experience like he calls it a relapse, like where you are going back to your old behavior. And so he has developed a technique where you kind of anticipate that this is going to happen. So this is already part of your plan. That so it's not a bug, it's a feature, right? So you you think about, okay, what is going to go wrong, and how will I first know that this is going to go wrong, and how can I try to minimize the effects of that. Now we go, of course, a little bit deeper in this. And then the other part is that I ask them, what is the smallest thing that you can do today to get like literally a millimeter closer to your goal? And I always ask them to really, like, it's not about the biggest step or the best step or the step that will give you the most recognition somewhere, just literally the smallest thing that you can do, right? Even if it's just, I don't know, setting your alarm clock 5 minutes earlier or whatever it is, like literally the smallest thing, so that they can really leave this workshop with something that something tangible, something that they can actually implement, and that doesn't feel so daunting, like this whole path, right? Like this whole thing that they're going to accomplish. It's just one little tiny step. Yes, so that was usually the last thing that we do. This is, yeah, that's essentially our workshop structure, let's say, that we have developed up to now. And I'm going to look at the chat. Sorry, I was a little caught up. Okay, no, that was nothing. That was okay. Any questions or any ideas, any constructive criticism, anything that doesn't add up for you guys? I don't see anything, but really, like, whenever you want, feel free to just unmute yourself. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
I'm trying to make a comparison in my head between self SFT and standard SFT.
Yes.
And the first association that comes to my mind is that when you go out of a session, standard session, there is usually one line of thinking that you are kind of instructed to think about. For example, scaling or a certain question, what's better? And here you have to do double job. You
Yes.
have to be your own coach and decide where you are focusing on.
Yes.
And I'm curious if you can give us more information about the context, where you're doing what you're doing, which for me is very fascinating. And I think I can say for many of the people who are participating now, it's very fascinating and it's very creative and innovative. So
Thank
if you
you.
can, if no, I really think we should encourage you, because at least into my mind, it's one of the most creative ideas that I came across, and I have a lot of experience with many years of experience.
Thank you so much, because of course I love this idea, but I also love when other people love this idea. So yeah.
No, but on the other hand, as a stress management psychologist, I have a lot of experience teaching people skills, for example, mindfulness. And it takes a lot of motivation and a certain personality to get somebody to find the time and to consistently do, to practice mindfulness or relaxations or whatever, even time management. So
Mm-hmm.
my question is, can you describe successful case or successful experience? Because as Chris Iverson said in the opening session, the important focus in the solution focus approach is on not the problem, but the preferred reality.
Yes.
So can you share with us cases or your experience? What works? What seems to get the people to do
To do
coaching?
this. Yes. So my experience is from doing this in this workshop format, right? And the big, from my point of view, shortcoming is it's a one-off thing. And this is exactly why, so we do 2 hours, and after that, they are kind of on their own. I always give them the presentation, but this has been, so let's say my first step in developing this methodology or whatever you want to call it, is to just work with people, to real people like in front of me, so they can give me feedback also about what works for them. And for example, one thing that I realized is you cannot do this out of context, right? Because theoretically, the way that I'm presenting it here, you could apply this to literally any situation that you want. If you do stress management, then you could just translate it into that. Or if you work with children who have, I don't know, trouble focusing on their homework, you could do that. But it's really important to do this translation. So in the beginning, for example, I taught it in the workshops, not in this condensed way that I showed you here, but it was very, let's say, it was a bit abstract still, right? Like the way that similar to how I just described it. And I learned that you really have to allow people to connect first with the topic and with what they want. So for example, when I work with entrepreneurs, I always do in the beginning like a short quiz, like it's just 10 questions, like they're about their entrepreneurial style. So is this relevant for the self-coaching? Absolutely not, but it helps them. And people, I personally don't like quizzes so much, but people love quizzes. Everyone loves to do, to know that they are like, more like Jeff Bezos rather than Elon Musk or vice versa, right? So people love this. And it helps them to connect to their view of this situation. And in a different topic that I always do at International Coaching Week in May, there I do a workshop also in the similar, completely same logic, but it's about self-compassion. So it's how to be kind to yourself in a way. And there we always do, like in the beginning, a group exercise where people share what they already do that works for them. And I find, this also is not necessary for the self-coaching as such, but this activity to kind of connect with the topic and to connect with each other, that is really important for people to be able to get into it, if that makes sense. That is, for example, something that I would never leave out, even though sometimes people have told me, but we don't really need to do the test, better focus on this. And I told them, yes, you don't need to do this, but there are many, many people who need it, because otherwise they can't connect themselves to this, right? I hope that is in the direction of what you were asking me.
It helps. I'm wondering, are you the only person in the universe who is into pursuing this approach? Do you know about other people?
I know about one person who is setting up a solution-focused app. I don't have her name ready at the top of my head, but I don't actually know what became of this. I heard about this, or I was put in touch with her, I think a year or two ago. I don't know if this is similar to that. It might be. But other than that, I mean, there are like, of course, there are different types of self-coaching available, but it's usually not so detailed. That's what I was also always missing. It's usually just you are being told, I don't know. It's not this step by step, because the way that I do it is very, very, really like really tiny steps, right? Like you take them by the hand and you move them literally the whole way. And in this way, I honestly have not come across it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it hasn't come to my attention yet.
Well, I'm looking forward to learn more about it, and I'm wondering if there are other people who are interested in it.
Yes, I'm always happy to share. I will show you also. Actually, that's a perfect bridge, because I wanted to tell you, like, in case you're interested, or in case you think, well, I might try that one day. I wanted to tell you where you can practice self-coaching, at least with me, because I don't know about really great other opportunities. So the most important thing for me is, yes, you can do it anywhere, right? Like you just need to know the steps. And like I said, I'm happy to send you a presentation from another workshop where you can see the exact steps. And yeah, that's I think also for me is the most important part, that you can literally do it wherever you feel comfortable doing it. But we also have like we do have a lot of free workshops that we offer. So if you ever feel like joining us, I put like a QR code there. It actually links. So the best way to know when we do a workshop is to be on our email list, because there we send out the dates. You can also just go to, we have a link tree, if you're familiar with that. So if you just go to link tree and then Coach Thyself is the name of my company, there you will always see the next one. But yeah, that is also pretty reliable, I would say. And then you can sign up there if you'd like to join. We do, like, I would say not every month, but we try to do like at least every other month one workshop that is free. We also work with companies, but then of course I can't just invite other people to that. But if I do a lot of free stuff, and that's the way to get on. Then we have, unfortunately, just one workshop that I ever recorded on YouTube. But I think it's if you feel like just seeing, okay, how is this in action? I just want to see. I don't want to do the whole workshop. I just want to see how she's doing it. We also have a YouTube channel under the name of Coach Thyself. So if you go there, you will find this one workshop recording. It's, I think, about 2 hours, and this is the one on self-compassion from last year. So if you just want to have a look at how this goes, the way I do it has changed a little bit since then, but the basic modalities are the same. And yes, then of course there are things that I'm working on. I started writing a book about it, but progress is really hard, I have to say. I constantly need to coach myself on continuing with this, but one day it will come out. And hopefully this will also help people to do it. But I really believe that so the digital courses are for us more the vision, right? Because my idea is really that you can one day, so my dream for this is that one day you have, like, if it's an app or whatever it is on your phone maybe, and you are waiting at the doctor and you just think, oh, wait a minute, I could, just get like a little bit back into this. And then you open the, whatever it is, app, web page, whatever we come up with at the end. And you just use that time to, because it's fun, it's easy, it's not hard to resume the process, right? That would be my goal. And of course, with a book, I have a small child at home. I love reading books, and I haven't read a book since she was born, like, I think. So I would love to, but it's another thing where you really have to make time for that. So yeah, so both of them together, I think, would be a very good combination. So I'm trying to keep up with the chat. Yes, thanks, Erica. I loved it as well. We're almost on the finish line, but I hope you took something away from this. And like I said, I will be staying on also if you'd like to continue the conversation. Yes, I have a list of questions. Essentially, this is when I send you this workshop presentation, then you will see it. Like, it's these prompts that I was talking about. This is what I use, and whatever I use, I test on the poor people that come to my workshop. So then I try to see if it works for others as well. And yes, our website is currently under construction because we have developed from offering just these individual workshops, these open workshops, and now we are in the phase of testing the, let's say, gamified approach. And at the moment, we are in the process of looking for companies or organizations that want to do a beta testing with us for this gamified digital or hybrid approach. So that's why we're under construction. I think by mid-August, we should be back on. I'm a very small company, it's just me and one assistant. So everything takes a lot of time, but I'm still keeping at it. And Erica, thanks. Do you like the clear diagrams and how the terms are related to the general public? Yes, that is something that I love this, because I think in solution focus, it's very often like we pay a lot of attention, I feel, to the words that we use. And I am like that as well, because I find that words make such a big difference, right? Like how you are guiding somebody with your words can mean can be like day and night, can be the difference between helping somebody change something or not, right? Like at the end of the day, they will have to do it themselves, but still the words make a big difference. And I try to be as relatable as possible and as simple as possible also in this. I'm still working on it, but yes, I love that you find it clear and simple and relatable. That's very nice. And Andy's writing, we have a product named Solution Trails for Self-Coaching. Cool. So there are really other people which do such approach. Yes, that I know that there's that there are people doing that. Yes, I would love to talk to you, Andy. Please feel absolutely free to get in touch. I'm always super curious also what other people are doing and how they are doing it. So yeah, if anyone has any ideas or wants to, brainstorm with me, always happy to to do that. Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks to everyone already. I think now I had prepared this question. What do you think about self-coaching? I think we've talked about it a little bit. If anyone has still something to share, like in a few minutes, or with those who want to stay on, feel free to do that. I had some questions that I wanted to ask you, just in case that nobody had a question or nobody had a comment. But I think we've covered quite a bit of it. At least the pink part we definitely covered. Yes, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for coming. It was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed being able to talk about this to people who are also so knowledgeable in this area. This is not, I don't get this opportunity very often. Yes. Sorry. I'm going to be quickly going here. Okay. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can everyone, wait a minute. I'll write you. No, sorry. I want to send to everyone. I will give you my email address. I hope that now everyone gets it. No, somehow it only went to Karin. I'm sorry, Karin. I don't know why it does that. Karin, would you be able to post this to everyone? I don't know why I'm not able to do this, but I can only send, for now, Karin is the only one who can talk to me directly. Yeah, but you can also, if you're on LinkedIn, that's actually the very easy way for me to connect with people always, because I'm pretty active there. And if you'd like to get on a workshop, there's again this little QR code for the newsletter that comes out like once a month, I think. And yeah, I would be very, very happy to hear from you guys again. Thanks, Karin. With the help of Karin, you are now able to send me an email. Yes. You can't copy and paste, Karin. Yeah, it's strange. I don't know. I can only write to you from now on. I don't know why. But at least it worked. Yes, there will be a recording of this. It is being recorded as we speak. I think they asked us to record everything. I hope that they will help me cut this, because I don't know how to do those things. But there will be a recording. Yeah, thanks everyone. It was so great. Like, thank you so much for coming. And yeah, I really hope to hear from you soon. Bye-bye. And enjoy the conference, of course.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye-bye. Andi, ich kann nur Karin schreiben, deswegen sage ich dir jetzt kurz auf Deutsch. Ja, ich weiß nicht, was da los ist.
Ja,
ich bin
ja.
noch da.
Alles klar, alles klar.
Keine Ahnung.
So, wann stoppst du die Aufnahme?
Ja, genau, das mache ich jetzt mal. Moment. Stop Share.